Joining me right now, Mish Schneider, Director of Trading Education and Research at MarketGauge.com. Thank you for being with us. So it's here. It's a rare occurrence, but the NASDAQ rebalance is coming our way. And, you know, there's been a lot of talk about just the fact that the big names got too big, right? What do we need to know?
Basically, I think the most important feature to take away is that within 2 weeks, they're trying to get the concentration of those big stocks from 44% down to 38%. And whether or not they accomplish it, how they accomplish it, of course, I don't really necessarily say I have the actual details on. But the sentiment is that the recognition of the fact that it's gotten a little bit too concentrated, as we've been talking about essentially for the last several months.
And, you know, there was even an article that Kathy Wood's ARK Innovation would be a beneficiary because of the fact that there is some exposure to a lot of the other names, the smaller names. What are you watching as far as names, or what opportunities there could be here?
Well, we had a fantastic year, so we're really grateful for that. And there's a lot of things to be on the lookout for now. So looking ahead, we're taking profits on these runs, and that's a glorious thing. We took some profits in the Qs. We've taken profits in Meta. We've been in Nvidia, which we know went up to highs today. So what I want to look for now is where are things telling us that things can shift, right? So you just were talking with Ben about the dollar. That, to me, represents certain opportunities that could be emerging that we're already starting to see happen. And number one is, even though everyone's talking disinflation, there are still so many elements around that could actually impact it in ways that people don't expect. Of course, the obvious weather and the obvious geopolitical situation, but even the fact that right now demand is growing way more than what anybody anticipated, right? That was the whole conversation about recession, that demand was just going to get blown by interest rates. Hasn't happened. In fact, every bad scenario that the market anticipated hasn't happened. So now my question is, what does that tell us? That tells us that we still have opportunities in some of the base metals, some of the base materials, some of the things like fertilizer. These are the areas we're looking. Some of the things that have pulled back now, if the consumer is doing better, and we have to watch that because the retail sector is actually down 0.5% today. But looking back at casinos that we had been in for a while, and then, some of the periphery, I would still look at the grains and the soybeans, the gold, the silver. Silver's outperforming gold, Nicole. That's generally bullish for inflation. So that's kind of where we have our eyes. And, of course, the cryptocurrency with the big news today on XRP not being a security.
Right, yeah, I saw that. I mean, a name like Coinbase, for example, which is jumping, I think it was up 12-13% when I last checked, and that's a big move. I mean, would you buy into Coinbase, or would you wait for a pullback now?
Coinbase itself wait for a pullback, but we actually got into Solana from our quant model that measures these things from a mathematical standpoint, and obviously having a great day today. So really, basically, the takeaway from this is that if Coinbase actually lists XRP, and I think that's one of the reasons why coin went up so much, that's just going to be bullish for the whole cryptocurrency space, which a lot of people had dismissed, again, like the market, throughout this entire year because of all the issues, and clearly here we are.
Right, understood. Let's talk about some of the other things that you did have listed. What about Yeti? Where does that fall in?
Well, Yeti's just seasonal, cyclical. Consumer cyclical based on seasonals because they sell a lot of coolers and things like that. And the stock from a technical standpoint just looked really ripe in terms of forming a nice bottom after being beaten up, and the momentum started to diverge from the price and showing bullish momentum. So really at this point now, I'd say 38.39 was probably the better buy. It's getting a little rich. But DDD was on my list too, if we could talk about that for a second.
Yeah. 3D systems, yep.
Yeah, this is an old friend of mine, Nicole. 2018, we got in and it flew. And then again in 2021, it went up to 50 when everything was flying. And it's really been sitting between 8 and 10 for a while. And now news has come out about Nano Dimension looking to do a tender price for Stratasys and 3D Systems at about $24 a share. And 3D Systems is an incredibly innovative company. They've created so much technology in the 3D space, mainly in the bio space right now. but it seems to be very undervalued. We're having this much of a party and everything else with the fundamental news and the fact that it's cleared 10. I see it has potential to go up to, let's say, 15 before we reevaluate.
How about some of those cannabis names? You had MSOS in there.
Well, you know, I'm the contrary, right? So I'm always hunting for something that has been forgotten about, and certainly MSOS was. But there's a couple of good things coming out in the industry, obviously more and more legalization, even internationally. And they're starting to crack down in New York a little bit on some of the illegal operations. And I just think it's not a matter of when, not a matter of if, but when we finally see the government go in and legalize the interbank relationships among the states to be able to do that type of financial transactions in the cannabis states. So there you go. I think that MSOS sitting here over 5 and over 6 is very short. We know it can be a meme stock, so we're long, and we're going to hold it for now and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I know you had some others in there. You had gold in there, right? When you talked about Cleveland Cliffs and Mosaic, and you had gold and silver. Any final quick thoughts?
Well, I guess the biggest thing right now is with everybody having so much fun in the equities, and clearly for me, the Russell's clearing 1900 was huge. I really have my eye on the gold and how it performs relative to the S&P 500, because right now it's on par, and generally that's a risk-off indicator, could be a lead indicator. So we're long gold, but we're also long SPY, but we'll be much more nimble if we start to see gold take more and more of a lead and look more again towards the commodities, and maybe even some of the safe plays like bonds, which have actually been really ignored and now are looking a little bit better in terms of the long bonds.
All right, Mish Schneider, great to see you always. Thank you for being on with us and also mentioning what's been going on in crypto, too.